Good afternoon. Hi, this is Ben from The Good Chocolate, and I'm really fortunate to be here today with Nora Day. Nora, welcome to Better Be Good.
Yay.
If it isn't good, it doesn't belong here. We're uh, we're really excited to spend some time with you today, Nora. We're coming after March, which was International Women's Day, and a lot of people around the world, with the Me Too movement, and there's just a lot more consciousness about the importance and value of women's contribution to everything in our lives. So it's a lot of weight and burden on your shoulders here. You're sort of, but we were really excited to meet with you and learn about your entrepreneurial journey. For those of you who don't know Nora, Nora is a yogi extraordinaire. She is a master yoga. She has her own practice. She teaches classes. She studied a lot of yoga and nutrition and wellness and meditation. We're going to learn a little bit about your journey today and where you come from and why you started. And I'm excited to hear about the entrepreneurship side, because The Good Chocolate is also an entrepreneurial endeavor on our part. We're trying to do things a little bit differently. And it's always inspiring to hear from people like you, Nora, who have kind of staked a flag in the sand and said, hey, I guess, and for you, literally it's in the sand, because it seems like you're doing a lot of yoga in Hawaii and Florida and online, and you have an amazing online yoga courses that are available. So there's a lot to learn. We're super excited. Welcome to our show.
I'm super excited to be here. So thanks for inviting me. This is fun. It's fun to do a live and actually just go for it. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, and for everyone watching, Nora and I have spoken before. We do know we have met through chocolate, but I don't really know much more about Nora than any of you do. So I'm Nora, so I'm genuinely eager to learn more. So let's maybe start with, so I think in the beginning when we talked about setting up this interview and I said, it's about entrepreneurship, and it seemed like that was, I see you as an entrepreneur because you obviously have your own website, noradaylive.com. You are leading your own, yoga retreats. You've written 2 books now that are published on Amazon. You've got 2 juicing books that are coming. One of your book is on meditation, another is on abundance. So it seems like you're really active in kind of growing your presence, but you're not working for a big yoga company, and you're not, that you hung your own shingle out. So I count you in the pantheon of entrepreneurs, and I'm curious, how did you get started? Like, have you always been, selling lemonade on the corner?
No, I wasn't always. When I started practicing yoga, actually, I did work for studios. That was the only thing you did back in the day. There was no online. This was not a thing. So I worked for a couple of studios, big studios. I grew up doing the California yoga thing, and the California Southern yoga thing is you have 75 to 100 people in each class. It's sweaty, it's physical, it's an intense practice, and people live this. So I kind of grew up in this era of learning from really the big yogis, and we all took class together. We all took class from each other, and it was the best way to learn to me, because we all were in it. We were all sweating it out. We were all living it. Most of us were plant-based, because the more you do yoga, the more you become non-harming and have more empathy for animals and for yourself. So we were all doing the same thing. So it seemed like the natural thing to do. Everybody was walking around with a yoga mat. That's what you do.
Yeah, I've been to LA. I've been to Southern California. I think I've been in some of those sweaty yoga classes. Probably, maybe not. Maybe we were in the same one, but
yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like LA yoga was way more intense than like San Francisco yoga. San Francisco yoga, they kind of ask permission. Can they adjust you? And I'm not stepping in. But I feel like in LA, it's like everyone's there. You come in, it's a little bit of that New York vibe, that New York hustle. Like, got
Mhm.
to get my yoga in. But there is this chill, relaxing thing that
Yes,
happens,
absolutely.
right? So,
When
but how
I
did you, sorry, go ahead.
when I started yoga, actually, I knew nothing. I mean, I knew nothing. I
Why did
was
you
kind
start? Tell
I
us
was kind
what drew you to yoga?
um when I was little, my mother gave me a book. And so it was a book on yoga, and there were pictures in the book of every single pose. And at the end of each day, you were supposed to do 28 consecutive days of yoga. And at the end of each day, there was a little meditation and a little reflection time, something to think about, something to be more aware of in your mind, in your body. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And actually, the lady in the book was super pretty, and she was like a yogi, and she just was like angelic to me. And I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I had no idea what that was. I just thought, oh, I want to be like her. But I loved doing yoga and then meditating after. I thought that's amazing.
So say more about the meditation. Was that part, did you learn, were you introduced to meditation through the yoga practice? Or was that
Absolutely.
something? Yeah.
Yeah.
And did
Yeah.
you start taking yoga in the very beginning, or did you have like like a different sort of like a different career before yoga? Or how did how did you become, when was there an aha moment where you thought, huh, I want to do yoga? Was it when you read that book, or did you have a different trajectory?
Yes, I was living in LA, and I was a musician. So I was playing classical flute and I was singing. So I was singing jazz and playing classical flute in symphonies and things like that. And I am it's a tough thing for me. I mean, I was a little soft. I was a little soft for the business. And
For the music business?
yes, and the longer I stayed in it, the longer I was getting frustrated because I wasn't getting enough gigs, I wasn't getting paid enough, or I wasn't getting paid at all, or you pay to play. And I was like, what am I doing? This is this is crazy. And while I was being a musician, I would take a few yoga classes,
to
not
sort
super
to
deep
sort of
into it.
relax, right? To de-stress, to, because I know I know a lot of musicians, and my wife is a musician, and I know how hard it is. That is a hard business to be in, and very stressful, because you're always like, where's the gig? Are they paying me? Or where's the audience? That
Mhm.
it's hard.
And I
Super.
have to say, being a woman, I felt like, back then there were no laws, no nothing. I'm just the front woman singing. And people say mean things. People are really this whole Me Too movement was nowhere near at that point. I mean, anything goes. And I was just uncomfortable with a lot of the other aspects of the music business. And I kept going back to yoga, and that I just felt like I was home whenever I'd go to yoga.
So, and then was there an aha moment when you went from being someone who takes, like I've taken yoga classes. I go, but I go off and on. Sometimes I love yoga, and I'm going to ask you a little more about some of the things that I like, and why you think yoga can be really transformative. But
Yes.
um, in terms of your story, when did you go from being more of a participant of like, wow, I need yoga, I like it, to I want to teach it? I mean, right? That's a big change. Not everybody who loves yoga is like, oh man, I'm gonna like really dive in and learn and share with others.
Well, I was always the yogi in the back of the room. I just wanted everyone to leave me alone, and I just wanted to practice. So I had a teacher I loved, and she went out of town for 3 weeks. And she said, Nora, you're taking over all of my classes. And I was like, I've never taught before. I don't know what I'm doing. She said, just do what I do, because you come to all my classes, just do it. So I got thrown into it. And again, back in the day, there were no yoga certifications. You just taught yoga.
Right.
So those 3 weeks, I was like, wow, this is so easy. It's so easy. And it's me. I just knew it was me.
Mm.
And I thought, this is good. It's what I love. And I feel like my heart, like it feels right. And that was my aha moment.
I like that. That's interesting, because sometimes you hear the stories about entrepreneurs and they're like, I quit my job, or before I quit my job, I was working, I was doing the thing that I wanted to do entrepreneurial wise, but I had to support so there's a lot of balancing act that goes on. And then
Yes.
you go into something and it's really hard, that's new because it's new and you're like, burning the candle. But it sounds like for you, the initial aha moment was just this feeling of, this feels totally right.
It was emotional for me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I was making more money back then. Again, things are different. Back then I was making more money teaching yoga than playing a gig.
Wow.
But it's very different now. What they want to pay yoga teachers now is a joke. I mean, it's a joke. I don't know why anyone would accept the rates that they have. But back then, you got paid pretty darn good. And, there were 100 people in the class, and sometimes you got paid per person.
Oh, wow.
So you were doing pretty darn good then.
Yeah. So it was a more lucrative direction, but more importantly, it was really what your heart was telling you, that this is the
completely,
right.
like completely. Yeah. And I always put in some meditation because I knew it from that book from way, way back. And no one really did meditation in a class, but I like to put it in at the end of class, like it was at the end of my book I had when I was a kid, because that wraps it all together. Meditation's the key to it all.
So so let's talk about that. How do you see meditation working with yoga? I mean, what happens in yoga, and then what happens? I mean, could I do meditation first and then do yoga, or do you think it's better to do yoga first and then meditation, or how do these work? How do they work? How do they work together?
They work together pretty seamlessly. You can do yoga, you can do meditation before, and it kind of sets your head up to do your yoga practice. You can do meditation after your yoga practice, and it seals the deal and brings it all together as one. So meditation is your intentionally, on purpose, paying attention. So you're paying attention to your breath, to yourself. You're taking time to pay attention to yourself. And that's the same thing as yoga, but meditation's a little more intense.
So meditation is paying attention to yourself, but through your mind. Your body's not, it's sort of the opposite. Your body's not moving, you're holding it still, but you're paying attention to what is happening in your thoughts and mind. And whereas yoga is, you're paying attention, you're moving your body and you're in specific ways, maybe that are designed to, I don't know. I mean, yoga just feels good. I started doing yoga because I was always I was a competitive athlete. I was on the rowing team at Harvard, and we were like national champions. And I was always very goal oriented. So I was like, if I wasn't timed, if an activity wasn't timed, I wasn't very interested in doing it. 10Ks, I ran the marathon in New York. And then by the time I was like 30, I just started, I discovered, I went to a few yoga classes. I think I got an injury, and I went to a couple of yoga classes, and I just felt like this is so different, because there's so many goals here, like physically, like I want to stretch, I want to touch my toes, I want to bend. There were so many goals that they were overwhelming. It was sort of overwhelming.
Yes.
That I couldn't reach all the goals in one practice, or let alone in like a year. But being aware that these goals are available and I can work on them a little bit every day, and it just physically felt good. It's really unique. It's really different from the kind of sports that most American kids like me, grow up with, swimming or soccer or rowing, right, or right?
And
So
I think
what,
it's also different movements in your body that you're not used to. And you don't, it's a different way of working out, if you want to call it that, which it's not. But when you run or you swim, you're working out and you're moving through it. When you're doing yoga, you're taking a full inhale slowly and a full exhale slowly. And let me tell you, one full breath of inhale and exhale slowly is so long when you're holding a hard pose. And if you're supposed to hold that for 5 breaths, it's the most intense, like heart emotional feeling, because you can't be fake in yoga. You either can do it or you can't. You can't be fake. You can't cheat. It's raw and it's wide open in front of you, and that's why it's so emotional for most people.
I see. So it's really right. It's just, you're right there. You're watching, you're your own witness. You're seeing what your body's doing. You're feeling it. Is there what's the science? I mean, is there some science in general? I mean, just what's the science behind yoga? Why does yoga feel good to do from a scientific?
It has to do with breathing and movement together. A lot of times when you do work out, you hold your breath and you don't know it. And it's not just a breath, it's like a full inhale, it's a full exhale. And with movement, there gives a reaction to the brain. The Dalai Lama was involved in some studies with this before. And what they did is they had a minute of meditation. We're going to jump to meditation quickly, but this is the same thing of yoga, really. He had a minute of meditation on compassion. Then you take a 30-second break, and then just another minute of meditation on compassion. You did that, I think, 4 times in a row. And the people were hooked up to EEGs, I think it was. So they were really looking at what happens to the brain when you do that purposeful focus. And they said it was just off the charts on energy, off the charts on how things were moving and energy was happening. And of course, someone is just sitting there doing nothing. And this is a little bit like yoga. That's why I think yoga and meditation go hand in hand. So when you're sitting there breathing in a very advanced pose and you're doing those full inhales and exhales, your energy is going off the charts, and it's nourishing energy. It's not static. It's not hectic. It's nourishing, cleansing energy. And again, this is where you get that connection. It's that mind, body, soul connection that you hear all the time with yoga. That's it. And it's through the breath. So that's why meditation is really the first step to yoga. And then you carry that meditation into yoga.
So, is it true that when yoga was first developed or the yoga that we use now today in the US the most, like vinyasa or ashtanga, my understanding is that this was actually invented for teenagers. It was like the teenage princes of one of the Maharashtras were like kind of like busybodies and not doing their homework, and their dad was upset and basically got a yoga teacher to try to get them to focus and learn how to calm their minds down so that maybe they could get to meditation.
That's right.
It's just
That's
apocryphal. Right. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
So basically Americans, we're kind of these, very busy, but we're like, man, yoga's where it's at. But yoga's, like you're saying, and meditation can help us get ready for yoga, but it ultimately, we want to be able to sit with ourselves and do meditation. Sometimes doing yoga helps us get control over ourselves and feel good about it. Because until I did yoga, I couldn't sit. I didn't, sitting still, having, being patient, all these things, they don't come. For me, they didn't really come naturally, right? So having a
lot of people that have like type A personalities say, oh, I can't do yoga, I can't meditate. I'm like, you're the one that needs to meditate and do yoga.
Yeah. You're like that. You're like a baby prince.
Yes.
Right? Adolescent. Cool. So on your entrepreneurial journey, when did you start to develop into the Nora Day live website and practice and courses and those kinds of things? How did that evolve? And then and then share a little bit about where do you do now? Where are you teaching? How do you, do you have a specialty now, or are you more of a generalist? How does it work as being a yoga teacher?
Well, about 12 years ago now, I think I started my YouTube channel. And I only did that because I had so many requests that people want to practice with me from all over the world. And there's only one of me. And I thought, well, I'll put some stuff up on YouTube. I didn't really think much of it.
Okay.
But then as it started growing, I thought, oh, people really want to just do yoga with me, and they can do yoga with me online. And I don't have to be at every single place all the time. And then through that, I started my subscription site. So I have a subscription site that's all full yoga classes, full meditation, guided meditations. And I also have a section with juicing and smoothies, because that's really big to me too.
Cool.
And I just expanded from my YouTube channel to like another site. And this was before the pandemic. This was before all of this, because I just thought, again, I can only tour so much, because I was going to Thailand 3-4 times a year. I was going to Dubai and, traveling and teaching. And I just felt like it wasn't enough, to be quite honest. It's not enough, because I get too many emails that people want to see me, but they can't get there, or they're in different countries. So
yeah, it's a big commitment to go on a retreat.
It's huge, and it can be expensive. It can be time away from your work, your family. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. Cool. So you kind of picked up on the YouTube, you just stumbled into YouTube, started doing classes there. What's the difference for people watching now who may go check you out on YouTube versus your website, Nora Day Live? What's the difference? Are the same courses, or longer courses, or more variety?
On YouTube, there's a lot of snippets and how-tos and kind of workshop-y kind of things. But on my subscription site, it's completely, you can practice full-length classes with me. And I do actually workshops on my subscription site that I don't do on YouTube as well.
Okay.
So it's more of a intensive, for sure. And then I have all the juicing and smoothies, which you don't, I do some on YouTube too, though. I shouldn't say that. I do. Yeah.
And we want to talk about the juicing and the smoothies, but first, so then you what was the sequence? Did you write your meditation book or your book about abundance first? And what was the genesis for that next step?
Well, this is the beauty of YouTube. So somebody who worked for the publishing company that I work for saw my YouTube videos, and they contacted me because they were into yoga. So originally I was supposed to write a yoga book, which I believe is coming, that I'm writing a yoga book for them. But they approached me with a meditation book just because they watched my videos. Huh. And getting back to this entrepreneurship, if I wouldn't have taken the leap to do a YouTube channel, I wouldn't be writing books. It all links together. If you believe in it and you live it, I believe it all links together.
Yeah, I feel that, because I feel like you were singing and you were stressed. And then you were like, I'm going to do something healthy. I mean, I'm sure we all do things that are not so healthy for our stress. But when you find those things that you were like, I'm going to do yoga because it helps me. And then boom, you got invited to be the sub, and you're like, this totally fits. I'm doing this. And then you jumped onto YouTube, and then you got invited to 2 books from the YouTube, or was it like, we want a twofer, or you did one and then you did a second one, or how did that evolve?
Well, they approached me with one book, and then it did really well. So they approached me with another book, and then I just finished 2 juicing books with them. So they keep offering me projects because, I mean, they do well, and I have a yogi mindset. It's very purposeful. Again, yoga carries through your whole life. it's not just yoga on the mat. It's, I write my books how I do yoga. I swim in the ocean like I do my yoga. I mean, it's all the same. It's all very, it's a relaxed calming, but it's purposeful. Like you're very intent and you're very, very in tune.
I see. That's cool. And and just for those of us, what is your book about abundance? So what was the idea there? What, if someone's new to yoga or meditation or abundance, for me, I was like, well, I mean, I know what meditation is, so I can imagine I would know what I would get out of your meditation book. What is the focus of your abundance book?
Well, both the books are called A Year of Meditation and A Year of Abundance. So every single day of the year on the Year of Meditation, you get a very short, sweet meditation to do every day of the year.
Oh,
and then
cool.
A Year of Abundance, every day of the year, you get a short, sweet little inspiration of how to bring abundance into your life, either through, the food you eat, how you go to work, how you wake up, how you go to bed, how it's really a sweet, sweet book on how just every day you can read a little something and think, oh, maybe I'll think of that today and I'll bring some abundance into my life.
So is it like in sort of instruction? Is it something that's instructional, like try this today, or buy yourself a treat, or is it more of a thought and a reflection?
It's more of a thought, and it's very connected with Mother Nature as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
And tell us about the 2 juicing books that are coming out.
Yay!
I want to try some of your juice when we see.
Yeah, I just wrote 2 books back to back, and they're so sweet. Each one has 100 recipes in them, and one is a 3-ingredient juicing book. So there are 3 ingredients only. So it's very, very user-friendly, very easy. And the other book is a superfood juicing miracle book. So it uses a lot of superfoods, and it's a great way to get energy, or if you want brain power. They're kid friendly juices in there. There's heart friendly juices in there. So they're both juicing books, but they're a little different.
Love it. And what kind of juicing machine do you need? Is it you squeeze them, or you put it like in the Ninja, or you can use whatever you want?
Actually, in each book, I have a whole section on little explanations of juicers, because there's quite a few juicers out there, and it can be confusing, and it matters your lifestyle, what kind of juicer is best for you. The juicers that I mostly work with are like a slow juicer and a fast juicer.
Okay, cool. Well, there's more in the books about what to do, but you think the actual machines are more suited depending on your lifestyle and how much time you have and those kinds of things.
Yep. And if you're a casual juicer, or if you're a super passionate juicer.
Okay, cool. And what do you have, like a favorite juice right now? What are you making what do you find yourself making on a more regular basis?
I usually have a green juice every day. So my green juice always has a base of something. So the base is either celery or cucumber, because I like the green. And then I always have ginger and turmeric root in there. And then I sometimes, it's so good. And then I add pretty much whatever I have. Try not to do too much fruit in there. If I do, maybe like half an apple or half an orange. If I'm doing a green juice, I don't add really that much fruit. So it's just keep it greens, kale, spinach.
So you're trying to keep the sugar content down.
I do, unless I'm going for a full on, a fruit juice. That's different, because then I'm really getting that energy boost, and I'm getting the antioxidant level super high. So that's a different thing than a green juice. But so I definitely do some fruit juices too.
Cool. Wow. I love it. I love the juicing and the meditation and the abundance. And I mean, I feel like at one level in our our society, we are all running around kind of wanting, we all need attention. We all want to feel understood and appreciated. And it seems like one of the like this nugget, this vein of gold that you've hit on in your career is that, by teaching yoga and teaching meditation and how to nourish ourselves, that you're really kind of helping us take that time that we need to like appreciate ourselves, to give attention to ourselves in like in the fullest sense of the word. Is that, do you feel like you're doing that you're giving that to people?
Yes. I mean, you have to appreciate and care for yourself first. And again, no fake, no lying, no cheating on yourself. And then you can give the real deal to people. And it's very special. It's very honest. It's humbling. And yeah, I have to teach. I have to give it away. I can't just keep it all to myself. I have to give it away. It's a must.
Yeah, I understand. I can feel that. What what has been the most challenging thing about being an entrepreneur? And this kind of, everyone's path is different. I'm sure if another yogi may have something different to say, but I think it helps other people that are trying to start their own business, or other people that are, have an idea and they're really passionate about something, and maybe they haven't been asked to be that sub yet, but they haven't had their chance, but they want it. But there are challenges, right? Even though when you had your aha moment, it didn't, all your problems didn't just go away, right? You got new ones. So what's the biggest challenge that you faced kind of once you decided, okay, I'm going to switch and really deepen my practice and share with others?
The biggest challenge for me, and it still is that people don't realize what you've been through. Nobody knows your story. So people don't know, if they maybe come to a class or do my online class, that I've been doing this for 30 years now. Again, way back in the day in California with the big yogis of the world today. So I've been through it. I've cried in class. I've almost puked in class. I've been in an incredible meditations in class. So people always want to tell you how to do it, but they haven't walked your walk. So it's always very humbling to me when somebody wants to give their advice when they haven't lived this world at all. So being really true to yourself is the biggest challenge of being a woman entrepreneur. I think because, they think, oh, Nora, let me help you. I can help you. It's like, you have no idea how much I'm okay, really. Yeah. So you've got to be so true to what that you're good at and what you're best at. Don't let people try and change what you're best at.
Yeah, that sounds like very good advice. So really, you have a strong intuition or practice, and you've learned a lot from your experience. And so do you get that? How does that come for you though? Did people come to you and say, or have come to you and said, hey, you need to stop doing this and start doing something else if you really want to like make it or whatever? Is that kind of like unsolicited advice?
Yeah. Unsolicited advice. And then sometimes people that I've hired to help me. And then of course they're not with me anymore because they're not on my path. They're not on the same vision. And especially if somebody doesn't have the same vision as you and the same inspiring, looking forward in the future, you can't work with them because they're going to keep guiding you the opposite way of where you want to go. Yeah. And I do have an open mind to listen to people, of course. I want to hear, because if I can learn more and be better, I'm all for it. But there's a gut feeling when it's not right. Yeah. Follow your gut.
Okay. Good advice. Good advice. Thank you. And one other question, if no, learning everything that you've learned in the last 30 years, is there a lesson that you have now in your hands that you wish, if you went back to the beginning and started over again, that you wish you had known this? Because if you can share this now, even though you can't go back and redo everything, maybe there's somebody out there listening who's, taking those first steps, and always appreciative of having advice of someone who's, been through a lot and like you, and come out, the wiser and the better for it. What piece of advice would that be?
You have plenty of time. We're all trying to rush and get it tomorrow or yesterday. And I certainly was for many, many years. But you really need time to let things simmer and to let it saturate your body and your mind and your heart. And you can't have things right away as we all want them. But that's part of meditation and yoga. It's a lifestyle. It's not you do yoga one practice one day and you think, "Whoo, I'm a yogi. I do yoga." It's time. So take the time and don't rush. Let it go. Let it go of wanting it immediately. It's not going to be there immediately, even though we know we want it. You have to take time and really, like I said, saturate yourself. Really know yourself inside and out, and know what you're trying to give to the world inside and out before it's going to come to you immediately. It won't come immediate.
So you think that immediate need for things to, like, I want it now, or I have this idea and I got to make it happen, I'm going to stay up all night for the next 3 weeks. You think that comes more from a place of like fear of how or of just not really knowing, not really understanding that big changes take time, or something else, or a combination?
A combination, and the key word is consistency.
Hmm.
I practiced, 6 to 7 days a week for the first, well, I still do, but not as intensely, I would say every day, but intense practices for, the first 15 years of practicing yoga. I mean, it's consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's going to come immediately. So you might as well be consistent and really, really, while it's not there yet, do your work.
Right. So that's what you're saying. Be patient. Things take time, but you have to work. You have to work in that time to get better, to get mastery, to
right.
learn things that on your own. So then you can teach them or share them with others.
Right. I mean, things will come. They come because you're for real, and because you're consistent, and because you're honest and you're raw and you're letting things in. Things will come. Again, there's no time for fake, or there's no time for excuses. There's no time for anything but you. And you have to be a little selfish on paying attention and taking care of yourself.
Yeah, well, that's good advice. I mean, I'm sure that if there's like some young 20-year-olds listening right now, they're probably like, "Oh man, but I wanted to hear about,
Right.
how do I prepare tomorrow?" But I think you're doing us all a favor by, just reminding us that it's really the consistency and showing up, and to be consistent, you have to have that conviction of like, this is my purpose now, and I'm going to do it. Some days it's not going to be fun.
And you have to like what you do. You can't do it just for the money or just because it's cool. You have to really love what you do to be an entrepreneur, because there are setbacks for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally. What is next for Nora Day? What's on the horizon for you? You mentioned a yoga book, perhaps. Is that in the works, or are there other things that you have planned?
I don't have any books in the works. I just hear that I might have another offer for something else. And now that the world's coming back to normal, I'm hoping to go out and tour a little bit more again, like I used to.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite place to tour? Where can we look out for you touring wise?
I love Thailand. I love Hawaii. Um, there are a few places I haven't been yet that I'd love to go. I've never been to Australia. I'd love to go there, or New Zealand. So there's some other places that I'm looking for touring that I haven't been to yet.
Cool. That's exciting. Hope we can join you. We'll get some of the Good Chocolate team if you're close to San
Yes.
Francisco. Yeah.
And I have to say in my superfood juicing book, I have a lot of cacao because cacao is one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, tell us. I wanted to touch a bit on chocolate and before we wrap up, and also zero sugar, because you mentioned that you will make juice that's fruit juice, but we met through your seeking out a zero sugar chocolate
Yes.
and found the good chocolate, and then reached out to me. And um, yeah, so tell us about, what role does sugar play in your life, and why were you looking for a zero sugar chocolate?
Well, I definitely don't eat any refined sugar, no white sugar, nothing like that. I use dates if I want to sweeten something usually. Um, and when I found your chocolate, I thought, okay, this probably won't taste great because it's a vegan chocolate, it's zero sugar. And it was actually the best chocolate I've ever had. That's why I wrote you, because I'm a chocolate aholic. And I thought, wow, this is great chocolate. And it's zero sugar. And that's important. There's so much hidden sugar if you buy packaged food. You don't need to buy sugar chocolate. You don't have to. You've proven you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the nice compliment. I
Oh, I
appreciate it.
love it. I love it. And I love the flavors are different and unique. And yeah, and again, it's that feeling of whoo, I got my chocolate. Chocolate is such a good superfood.
Yeah, it's really a very, very good. A lot of antioxidants and
Yes.
theobromine. So as someone who's very in tune with your body, what do you notice when you have refined sugar? What do you feel? Do you feel something like immediately, or is it more over time?
Well, I gotta say I haven't had it for so many years, but sometimes stuff sneaks in. I feel a little hectic. I lose my calm a little, to be quite
Mm,
honest, and I lose my focus. It's not a good. I don't like refined sugar. It's not a good feeling. It's upsetting to my head and to my body. I can feel it.
yeah, I understand. You kind of get frantic. The way it comes for me is when I eat a lot of zero sugar chocolate because we're constantly, tasting in our factory, or having have it for a coffee in the afternoon. But I notice when I'm having chocolate that's with sugar, because I like to taste what's going on and see what some of the sort of sugar competition is doing. And I find that with chocolate with sugar, I have a harder time to stop eating it. It's
Ah,
it's not the cacao that causes the craving. It's not the cocoa beans. It's the sugar that causes that
mhm.
craving that people say, oh yeah, I bought that bar and I was going to have a square, and then I ended up having half the bar, and then you know.
Ah,
So it's really that's how I notice the sugars when I have things with sugar, and I just want more of it because it's
yeah,
activating that serotonin part of the brain.
right. Well, yeah, and it's like an unhealthy like craving for for the unrefined sugar because it's not doing anything good in your body.
Yeah, totally.
It's not a nourishing thing. It's trying to get you addicted so you buy more. It's not great.
Yeah, yeah. No, 80% of the food in the supermarket has added sugar. And
Yes.
and most of that is just because, they could use something else, but they know that it gets us hooked
Right.
and
Yeah,
keeps
read
us.
your labels, everybody.
Yeah,
You'd be
exactly.
surprised how much everything has some kind of sugar in it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, Nora, you've been a great sport. We should wrap up. Do you have any do you want to turn the tables and ask me anything?
Yes. Um, did you know that your chocolate was going to be so so well received? When you were starting this company, did you think, oh, I'm going to try it? It's no sugar. I don't know if people are going to go for it. Did you think it was going to be as successful as it is?
No, I was pretty terrified. I thought that I didn't know what people would think. It's really weird when you're starting something that's like a food, because I liked the chocolate. I mean, I got the formula to a place where my sort of closer friends and families like the chocolate. But you never really know, like this is my friends, and they could just be saying, yeah, Ben, that's great, or maybe they're proud and think, wow, this is exciting. And maybe they like the idea, but do they really like the flavor? So that was always a question. And some of my family liked it. And some of my family, when I was giving them zero sugar chocolate, I still had my other job. They were looking at me like, what are you doing with your life? Right. Like, it wasn't about the chocolate at that point. So the way that it's a good question. And the way that I kind of got over that is like twofold. One is I found people in the community that, like the security guard at my gym, ended up having like a very good palate and was super honest. So I would have like a bunch of iterations. I'd go by the gym, drop it off. He'd try it. He'd be like, yeah, it's as good. It's a little better than last time. It's still too fruity, or the texture's weird. So I find people that had no interest in blowing smoke, in my direction. And I would get their feedback. And then the ultimate test where I felt like, okay, I mean, you still never know. I still feel like I have to approach we have to approach our business with a beginner's mind. Like, there's a lot that we know, but there's really a lot more that we don't know. And we don't want to assume anything, because then you can, make a poor choice. And so in the beginning, after I got good feedback from the community, I entered the Good Chocolate into like a chocolate festival where, and at this festival, we had to pay money to show up, but we could sell our bars. And then but the people who attended the festival had to pay money, and they got tickets, and they could give a little ticket to taste like whatever was at the festival. So they weren't, we had people come to our table, they would give us a ticket. I think they get like 10 tickets or something, when they walk in the front door. So it's a scarce, they couldn't go taste everything. They could only taste certain things. So people were coming to our table, and they would give me a ticket, and I was like, yes, that's a good sign. And then they liked it. These were people I never met. They were actually sort of paying their own little ticket money.
Right.
And that gave me the confidence that, hey, this is a viable product and it's worth taking it to the next level. And so that's kind of how we've grown is by, making sure that we have demand and that people like it. And then you get more, just go step by step.
Well, I have to tell you, I never, since I've been vegan for more than 30 years. And so I never have milk chocolate. And when I saw you had a vegan milk chocolate and it is the best, like the best, I was like in heaven. I thought this company's got it going on.
Cool. You talking about the double crunch? Do you like the double crunch, or do you like the coconut milk?
I like them all, but the double crunch is the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of a couple of our chocolate makers. It's their favorite flavor because it's very sweet. Yeah, and it's interesting, crunchy. Yeah, we made that that was made with the help of with Gigi Ashworth, who's a nutritionist, and she's an Instagram channel, and she can't have milk and she can't have sugar. So we went out and said, hey, we want to make a chocolate bar. Do you have any ideas? She said, yeah, I haven't been able to have like a milk chocolate since I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
It was either that, or she also loves salmon. So she said, make salmon chocolate. And I was like, if you eat, I will make a salmon chocolate just for you, Gigi, if you will eat it. And
oh God.
But that was terrible. But the double crunch is is his favorite. Yeah.
Yes. Great job. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yep.
Cool. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Great to hear about your journey. And I'm excited. I want to go look on your YouTube and see what I've been practicing Ashtanga for some time. So I can always use some tips and pointers, and maybe I'll take a look online,
Great.
and good luck. I mean, it's very inspiring to hear your story. You really seized the opportunity kind of every step when you felt like it was the right move, and you really kept going and going and going. And now you have a big impact on so many people around the world who are new to yoga or deepening their practice, trying to make it a part of their life. And so it's really wonderful to hear how expansive this journey has been for you and for everyone in your orbit.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This was pretty fun.
Yeah, super fun. Okay, well, to be continued.
Yep.
Good luck, and we'll talk chocolate soon.
Oh, great. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Nora. And bye,
Thanks.
everyone.